Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do the thing I've been talking about, the Kevin Gilbert Live at the Troubadour. I wanted to do it last week, R.I.P. Kevin. It's been 28 years on Saturday, but and after doing the Thud series, and the hope is possibly to do the Shaming of the True if when that multi-disc comes out, it made some sense to kind of revisit, and because I hadn't revisited this either really in Thursday. That was the whole point of this, but I haven't revisited the Thud 20th anniversary box with all the extra tracks on those two CDs. I hadn't revisited Live at the Troubadour and never really talked about it. I haven't talked about too because there's been a lot of live albums, but here's the standard CD. I think I found this on eBay. I might have got it through the estate. This is the standard one that came out in 1999. I can't find an exact release date. It was sometime in '99. The actual performance was on June 1st, 1995, at the Troubadour in Hollywood, California, a venue I did go see in 2018. The Michael Nesmith and the return of the first national band. A lot of other people have played there, including The Warning, but then I want to say it was 2009, so it was like the 10-year anniversary. This came out, and I got an extra copy. It's the Welcome to Joytown Live at the Troubadour performance DVD. It's the CD and DVD, I believe. And it includes some extras. Here's the track list. Show it looks better on there, maybe. I mean, this is my original copy. It's had wear and tear on there, but yeah, 2 disc set, DVD and CD. My one of the discs is not in here, unfortunately. I have the ticket stub, but it's not in this thing. I have number 270 here, but there's a whole write-up here. I didn't even read this. Analog. Talk about Shaming. Smash. I'll get more into that. Here's the other disc. I don't know where the other disc is. That's a good question. Probably one of my books where I keep DVDs, I'm guessing. John Cuna birthday, yeah. Anyway. The audio and the video being some of the same. It's Kevin Gilbert's Thud band. He had done some touring for Thud, but he also opened, I was looking at his last show. The last concert I've found for him was in October of '95 when he was opening for Jonathan Brooke, although he did some full sets out east in Philly. But it was you could say it was one of the last shows he ever did as a full set. But he had, of course, Nick DiVirgilio on this. Probably should just show the CD because that's what this is first and foremost a review of. Nick DiVirgilio on drums, and then he had Russ Parrish on guitar, and Dave Kersner. The thing is, Dave Kersner's name's spelled with an S in here. I could be wrong, but I always thought his name was spelled with a Z. Kerz. I don't know if they made a typo on that, but he's on the keyboards. Kevin played bass, and I think they had someone else playing tabla and djembe, but I'm not fine. I'm looking at the credits on Discogs. Anyway, so there it is. Satnam Ramgatra. So there's a difference in the track list. The standard Live at the Troubadour had 10 tracks. Joytown, Goodness Gracious, Shrug, Waiting, T for One, Miss Broadway. That's the one that people got to know, Miss Broadway. When You Give Your Love to Me, The Ballad of Jenny Ledge, Kashmir, and Song for a Deadman, the cover of Kashmir. Of course, Miss Broadway hadn't been released at that point. The performance, though, at that show included a couple more tracks. The Tears of Audrey and Smash. Smash was, I want to say it was probably the first encore, but I'm not sure based on the differences in these. But, of course, Smash was an unreleased track, too, that ended up on The Shaming of the True. And part of it was taken and put on The Shaming of the True. So, all right, I'll try to get into this and do this as fast as possible. I'm going to make this an epic long video. I did every track individually, but I didn't go into great details about every little thing. But so, the first track on here is Joytown. You hear the announcer say, I think it's Mark and Brian, or one of the guys from KLOS. Now we're doing another announcement. We're recording, I don't know if I can catch the rest, but Nipples Will Sing. And he has, this is where he first, I heard him say, Dave Kersner on the Mighty Wurlitzer. The nice tabla djembe solo, that's a big highlight of this. I mean, it's Joytown, but it's 8 minutes and 31 seconds, including the little announcement at the beginning. But fast building guitar solo jam at the end really works. That's Russ Parrish. Russ Parrish is super featured in his band on a lot of these songs. So the second track, Goodness Gracious, they used some beatboxing on the intro in the same kind of that goodness, the riff, that that little part that starts Goodness Gracious, but it's in like a beatboxing sound. I don't know if it was Kevin doing that or it was like something they recorded or sampled or something like that, but the among other parts I enjoy on this is again Dave Kersner's Wurlitzer parts that are really tasty sounding. So then the third track is Shrug. NDV plays this a little more swing-like than the version on Thud. Of course, having revisited all the different versions on Thud, I have some of those in mind now listening to these songs, but I still have to kind of go back to the defaulted standard versions on Thud when I think of these songs. But Kevin's vocals at points almost sound doubled. But yeah, Kersner adds little nuances to some of the phrases. It's one of those tracks. It's like there's so many things to enjoy on it. And there's delay on some of the guitar licks. So, some of the echoing on the guitar almost sounds like a Disney theme. I keep on hearing that, like that one song from Jellyfish where they, I think, joined a fan club, which I'm going to mention Richie Castellanos, the band geeks, who are the backup band to John Anderson. They covered Jellyfish's Join a Fan Club, but that part where they reference Disney, that da-na-na-na-na, I keep on da-na-na-na-na-na. I keep on hearing that, like, on this live performance. I don't know why, but anyway. I guess, yeah, okay. So, and at the very end of this, only on the CD, not the DVD, I guess, having ripped what's on the audio version of this, or at least the CD that's on here. He says, the next song is a laundry list of all the shit that I'm waiting for. Intro moving to the beginning of Waiting. When you hear Waiting just on here, you don't hear that, I guess. Because I ripped them both, actually. I ripped the one on here, and then, the original 99 release. So, Waiting's great. Waiting for waiting for the start. Instead of the one I waiting for the show to start, the phrase, that verse, the one I paid to see, he says, waiting for the show to start, the third matinee. Of course, the third matinee had just come out, I don't even know if it was a year before that. Without Kevin, that was Patrick Leonard and Richard Page from Mr. Mister. So I think that was a bit of a sort of a tongue-in-cheek jab at Patrick Leonard and the third matinee. So then he says, looking for some good things that I'm gonna have to say. I wonder if that was also being a little sarcastic, like, I want to say some good things about the third matinee. That was his project with Patrick Leonard, of course, with Toy Matinee. So he changed a lyric or two live. That's not unprecedented. People do that, and I'm not surprised, but I hadn't caught that before. So there's a jam at the end that's nice. It has Kevin chanting "Whoa, ah, ah" with the keys, and extended outro. It's kind of nice. So, all right. So the fifth track is T for One. I didn't really write a lot more about it down. It sounds nice. The bluesy guitar. Russ Parrish's bluesy guitar stands out more than some of the stuff that's on the studio record, which I don't know if it was. I forget who the guitarist now was on the studio version. I don't think it was Russ Parrish. It wasn't Mark Bonilla, but I should remember this. I'm trying to remember who was in the Thud band that. Anyway, yeah, I actually think in some ways I like the alternate version of T for One with that verse in the bridge. That's so great, but comparing the T for One, it almost comes out more live, even though I didn't write a lot down about it. But so, okay, the sixth track, Miss Broadway, as I mentioned before, people got to know this song for many years before, obviously it came out on here, on the studio version. And again, June of '95. It was past, it was a few months past that Grammy. I think it was the Grammys of '95 is when Cheryl won the Grammy and they got credit. So, but it was still, he had written the song and he was proud of the song, so he's going to play it live, even though he hadn't released a studio version at that point. He never got to see, unfortunately, the studio version get released. But the bluesy guitar really works in the keys on the Wurlitzer. Love the bridge with the keys. Very circusy sounding at points, what Dave Kersner brought. And Kevin sings the chorus, Leaving Miss Broadway. I think it's in a different key. It might be in one of the phrases. But and the other thing I noticed is, at least I'm pretty sure, the lyrics, you can't have my words anymore. He doesn't say words at any point on this version. The studio version he does. It's just, you can't have my love anymore. The other thing I thought about this, of course, Miss Broadway might have been on The Shaming of the True. It also could have been on Caviar. That's what I was just thinking about listening to this. It's like, oh, this would kind of in some ways fit with Caviar. It's not quite as sort of overtly in your face dark, but the sarcasm still fits. Okay, so I gotta make sure I didn't throw off the comments after Tears of Audrey. I put into When You Give Your Love to Me. Yeah. He goes, okay, yes, I totally remember. I mean, the first few times I listened to this album years ago, I remember him saying this. He may have said this on, it may have been a common thing Kevin said to the crowd when he played live, because I've got several recordings I haven't listened to in a long time from the groups of shows, and he talked about When You Give Your Love to Me. He goes, okay, lest you guys think that all my songs are really dire and depressing and cynical, this next song is about love. So, and then he goes into When You Give Your Love to Me. The version on here of When You Give Your Love to Me, I didn't talk about Tears of Audrey. So, actually, as it turns out on the DVD, Tears of Audrey, see, I was talking, it was introducing When You Give Your Love to Me, but Tears of Audrey actually comes first on here. And Tears of Audrey is not on here, on the standard, but so when he said that, actually was after Tears of Audrey. So I kind of got ahead of myself going into When You Give Love to Me. But the Tears of Audrey, though, one thing I noticed about it is it sounds like there's some slide guitar on the Tears of Audrey during the first verse. Kersner has these little textures on the Wurlitzer. It's really ambient. It's more slow and delicate. I mean, Tears of Audrey is not a fast song, but I think that even the tempo is a little slower. And some of the acoustic guitar and background pitch bending add something with the keys. So it's pretty close. They didn't change it up that much, but I think having Kersner in there and maybe like some slide guitar, I'm not sure. Look on Discogs. Added a little extra something to this version, so you could add that, chalk that onto the list of versions I did on the series of tracks, Tears of Audrey. So, but after Tears of Audrey, I believe it is, he explains that stuff, saying, okay, lest you guys think that all my songs are really dire and depressing and cynical, this next song is about love, as he says it. But and When You Give Love to Me, and the group harmonies are nice, and When You Give Your Love to Me, it's a little more stripped down, but yeah, I mean, because as I stated in the Thud track series, a lot of those Thud tracks, while they gave the impression that it was more stripped down than his previous work, like on Toy Matinee and on Giraffe, Thud still had a lot of layering. I mean, because he did so many versions and he re-recorded so many of them. Even though it had the deception of like an acoustic album, it has lots of layering, and I think hearing it live like this kind of gives it more an organic feel, even if you can have that much. So, anyway, so after When You Give Your Love to Me, they go into the Ballad of Jenny Ledge, which there really wasn't much of an official tour for Toy Matinee, a little bit, but that was with Sheryl Crow and with some other people, Tos Panos and Mark Bonilla. But this is Kevin's Thud band doing the Ballad of Jenny Ledge, and so it's a little bit different. You have Kevin playing the bass parts that Guy Pratt originally played on the studio record, and Tos Pantos played live previously. And it's a little more up front, I guess. And then of course, Russ Parrish versus previously Mark Bonilla and Tim Pierce. They don't do as many of the harmonies that I remember so much for like on the live version. I could review the live at the live at the Roxy at some point, I suppose. But you know, I like it. It's a great tune. It's one of his best tunes. One of his catchiest tunes. The harmonies, though, it's like the vocal harmonies that he goes sounds like Russ was sort of taking on those himself on guitar. So, like I said, Russ Parrish is kind of one of the biggest stars of this whole album, actually, after Kevin. But it's more keyboard driven at points as well. So the keyboards are a little higher in the mix. Just it's mixed a little differently than I'm used to hearing, obviously, on the studio version. So then they go into Kashmir. Of course, this is the cover that had come out, of course, on that little disc, and they'd been playing on the radio a little bit. Much different. It was supposed to be on Encomium. It wasn't, of course. But it's kind of cool to hear it live. Russ Parrish does the Corky James guitar riff, that incredible interpretation and adaptation, that guitar riff. They do include the Dancing Days little nod, little quote in there a little bit, that that's pretty much. I mean, it's Marvel. It's a Marvel adaptation. It's great to hear live. Kevin sounds great on it. It sounds a lot like the version they did in the studio, though. Other than that, I mean, his band reproduced it well. And then he just says, "Thank you. You've been great. You've been great. Good night." So that was the last song before the encore. So then, based on the track list, I'm thinking that they did Smash after that. And of course, this was the first introduction to Smash for some people. Now, I've had recordings that had of like Miss Broadway and Smash and some other songs, Pretty, City of the Sun, even. His last couple shows that are on Setlist.fm, the fall of '95, at least those full where he was the headliner in Philadelphia. He did City of the Sun and he did Pretty, which is a song from Caviar. But this is, I mean, of course on Shaming of the True, it takes part of it. But this is, in some ways, the biggest gem on Live of the Troubadour, or the DVD, I guess, because it's not on here, in that it's a different version. I kind of suspect that in some way when we do the Shaming box, the multi-disc box set, they're going to have to probably include this, or something. They're going to have to, or a version of Smash, because this one I had the most to say about. I wrote down, so the live part was edited, mixed parts of it was mixed on the version on Shaming, of course, Smash, Certifiable #1 Smash. Russ Parrish's quirky guitar riffs, tones stand out especially. They sound different than I'm used to hearing on the studio version. And then he starts out with, "Gotta tell you about this," of course. He does that narrative. This because I'm very excited about it, ... It's got a tattoo. So, Shaming's... Shaming, what it sounds like is, on Shaming, and again, it probably explains it in here, and I didn't get a chance to read it. Shaming really only used, like, his guitar, like, one guitar track in Kevin, or maybe just Kevin's vocals. They may have actually recorded it separately. Like, he may have recorded, or whoever played the guitar on Smash, separately. Because it sounds just so much different, to me at least. His vocals sound a little less processed, too, so something was done in production on the vocals on Smash. And then Kevin, he's singing it more straight at one point. Then there's a different line, "Are you with me so far? ... It means I could finally move out of my mom's house. ... It's got more hooks. Before that line, it's got more hooks. So there's a lyric, or a couple lyrics, there's some lyric lines that weren't on the version on Shaming again. So again, the Shaming version is like an abridged, adapted, version. Now, maybe after this performance, and he was talking about doing Smash, there's probably demos. That's what I'm hoping that we'll get. But some of this stuff, like, he said, like, well, take this line out in his notes. I don't know, that part about moving out of his mom's house. So, so then his vocal lines hang a little longer at what points. Shaming made it sound, the stadium, the bigger part in the stadium makes it sound, it didn't sound it, because this is at the Troubadour. The Troubadour is a venue that maybe has a capacity of, I don't even think it's 1,000 people. It's like maybe 700 to 800, at least in the main room, unless something's changed, that when I saw you know, Michael Nesmith in 2018, you're talking 13 years after that. 13 years? 23 years. 23 years. Am I right about that? 18? 2005? Yeah, 2015. Yes. It's about the size of, like, the Fine Line, basically, where Kevin, I believe, did play in Minneapolis with Jonathan Brooke. I found it one day, a number of years ago, I found some information that showed it, and the last 5 years I've been looking, I can't find it now, on that tour with Jonathan Brooke. So, I've never really mentioned this. I'll talk about this when I get into shaming at the point, whenever that's going to be another 6 months to a year or two. When he says the line, like it was a play or something, get it? His New Jersey accent completely comes out. Kevin Gilbert was born in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and his early days when he was a kid grew up there. He eventually moved off to California. But that part, you totally hear. I don't know if that was intentional, like the Johnny Virgil character had a New Jersey accent, or he picked it up, you know. Like it was a play or something, get it? You know? But it sounds very clear on the performance. So he goes on that line, when those receipts start tearing in from all over the world, because 60 billion flag-waving fans on every stadium on the fucking planet are going to be yelling. This part's different. I'm trying to remember what it sounds like. It's just like a crowd cheering, like in a soccer stadium. But at the Live at the Troubadour performance, when he did it, I think it's Nick or maybe the whole band go, 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 like from a World Cup game, talking about a stadium. So that was also different. During the narrative, when he's talking, you can hear the guitars, drums, and keys a little differently. So, I mean, it's just, obviously John Kinderberti and the guys did a lot with this version, the tracks, to put it onto the version on The Shaming of the True. It really it's very distinct. There's a difference in this version as much as you think, well, it's just lifted from this album. Which this is only on this. Like, you know, if you had this, unless you had the bootleg or something like that, you'd never heard Smash or seen him play live when The Shaming of the True came out in 2000. So basically you had to wait 9 years to even find the source. So that line, Elvis Jackson, the blue suede gloves, me and my accountant are so happy. The band did vocal harmonies. The outro is extended. It's more jammy than it's cut off on the version on Shaming. It's going to be yelling. Yeah, wait a minute. What am I getting here? It's kind of punkish. It's got that outro that it's extended. It's like a jam, almost like a punk band doing a jam. Then they have that classical motif that ends. It's like in a minor key. I can't remember what that's from. Peter Gunn? Something like that. Anyway. So then, what I think is the second encore is the final track. Because it sounded like he came back out and did another, you know, it's like when he goes into this, he says, it's a song I wrote up for a very dear friend of mine. He goes into Song for a Dead Friend. It's fine, the Song for a Dead Friend version. It's just him and guitar. Really, I'm thinking it was just Kevin. They did the encore with Smash. Then the band left the stage. And I have to watch the DVD. Well, it's not on. The thing about it is I'm not even sure it's on the DVD. Oh, yeah, it is. So I'd have to watch this again to confirm this. And then I think Kevin just came out and just did that, just him and the acoustic guitar. So, yeah, it's pretty poignant, of course. So that's it. I mean, that's kind of a wrap on Live at the Troubadour and Welcome to Joytown for the most part. I'm not saying I'll never talk about it again when I get to the albums of the year in 1995, of course. Some of the anniversaries and stuff. This stuff's going to come up again, but, you know, I've kind of exhausted it. I just wanted to do this. I've never talked about that. I could talk about Live at the Roxy at some point. I have done little reviews of the KMG archives, like the Cactus one from Giraffe. I mean, I could talk about bootlegs, but that's sort of unofficial, but there are a few, you know, but the thing is, he only had really this one official live album. The other thing is, a fella, Rick, I forget his name, on YouTube, uploaded a full, like, extensive version of the Eddie Muddy Band on MTV, I think, in 1987, where Kevin was playing with Eddie Muddy's band. So I got to check that out. I haven't gotten around to looking at it, but he's been uploading a lot of Kevin. I should probably get his name right here. I could link it. I could try to link it if I remember, which I don't always get around to doing. Yeah, his name is his account name is just Rick. I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually his YouTube handle. No, it's Rick's Music 34, and I'm looking here. He did Billy Joel. He does a lot of like really good stuff, but Larry Carlton, where's it? Eddie Money in concert live at the Shoreline Amphitheatre in 1987. So, yeah, it was May 19th. So there's the anniversary. Interesting. It was the, whatever would have been, the 87. So 40, would it be 40? Something like that. 47-year anniversary. 37-year anniversary this past Sunday of this. Yeah, I mean, it's Eddie Money stuff, but you get more Kevin Gilbert. It doesn't say Kai Gilbert on his little description. Keyboard, synthesizers, organ, backing vocals, R.I.P. So, but yeah, that's about it. What do you think of Live at the Troubadour? I think it's still available for this version on his website, but it's a pretty damn... I mean, Kevin, you know, the Live at the Roxy, of course, has... it has the version of Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, which is unbelievable. It completely outstages the Dream Theater one on A Change of Seasons, which I like. And it has a lot of that Toy Matinee stuff. Toy Matinee stuff I love. I kind of think in some ways this one is a little bit better. I think the band is a little tighter, even though it's kind of hard to really compare because none of these neither that band nor this band had extensive amounts of times playing live together. But I don't know. I mean, it's a push. I guess get push comes to shove. The material I prefer slightly on the Live at the Roxy, but he was a great live performer. He found that balance of doing, you know, being faithful to the studio versions, but still making them live enough. Not going off the rails. He wasn't really doing a jam band kind of thing. He really. I mean, it's too bad because if he would have been able to play live since this, I mean, who knows the kind of stuff he would have done live. Kevin was really good at finding that marriage of playing the songs live, making them sound live, and the arrangements being a little different live, but still being the heart of what you love from those songs are still captured in there. And I think, yeah, a lot of these songs, including the stuff that wasn't even released at the time, Miss Broadway and Smash, even Kashmir, you know, it's like you got to go see them play the album live, even though he didn't play the bass on the album. I always think of him playing the bass on this. Think of Kevin Gilbert was a bassist, you know. Well, he played other stuff. He was a piano player, you know, and he played his fair share of guitar among other instruments. So, but anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. But thank you for watching otherwise, and we'll see you next time.